is Seth Schachner. He's a digital business executive and expert. He's also the managing director for Americas, a consulting firm that provides strategic guidance and helps clients with media and technology partnerships. Seth, thanks for taking time to talk about this tonight. Even Musk in his tweet today acknowledged that he has lofty goals, and it's a huge undertaking with failure being a possibility. But what obstacles does he face with running Twitter at this point?
It's great to be here, Julie. It's a really fine line because, you know, the backdrop on this, if you kind of put aside all of the back and forth, you know, in terms of how we landed here, Twitter has always been somewhat of a struggling media platform. And to begin with, it has not been, nor is it, a particularly good media business. And it probably wasn't set up that way to begin with. So I think he's going to have an enormous amount of obstacles technically, just cleaning up the platform, drawing the lines between maybe loosening reins on moderation and, as you just stated, you know, earlier with Ira, keeping this platform attractive to advertisers. So it's a really tough balancing act for anyone to pull off, and I think a lot of people, probably including myself, are pretty skeptical about it.
And Seth, we heard in Ira's report, and it was in the Washington Post, that Musk wants to lay off 75% of Twitter's staff. You know, whether it may or may not happen, is that a wise business decision?
Well, I mean, if I think you look at the P&L of Twitter, again, not terribly impressive, you know, company. If it is taken private, which it looks like it will be, that's a pretty different set of circumstances for Mr. Musk and the owners, basically. But they still need to run it like a business. And so from what I understand, those cost cuts are going to happen, you know, in any instance, whether it's 75% or something smaller. And I think the real thing there, you know, as to whether or not it's smart is what effects it's going to have on the overall platform. You know, Twitter's had, if you go back to what the whistleblower said just a couple of weeks back, you know, a lot of troubles in just managing its security, the amount of bots on the platform, the overall performance, just security of Twitter in general. So it's a tough thing from a technical perspective. It's got to be tough if you're working on staff there and looking what's potentially coming, basically. So hard to say whether it's smart, but you know, that kitchen sinking analysis or analogy, if you will, of he's going to do something to change it. I think that's what it means in British slang, actually, is what bringing in the kitchen sink is probably what we're probably looking at going down the road for him.
Yeah, it's hard to imagine. I mean, getting rid of 3/4 of your staff for a platform this large and still trying to keep it afloat. What do you think Musk, the billionaire, should do with Twitter?
Well, you know, it's very interesting because I think there were some pretty interesting revelations that came out when some of Elon's text messages with the, you know, Twitter's backers, and in particular its founder, Jack Dorsey, came out a few weeks ago. And, you know, I think deep in the karma of Mr. Dorsey and Twitter, it's that it really isn't necessarily a media company as much as they want it to be. They call it a town square, if you will, but a public utility. I think of it perhaps a little more like, if you think about what Wikipedia is and how it operates and how it works, basically, I tend to think that may be somehow in the minds of Mr. Musk going forward. And so I think he's probably going to try and build it more towards a public utility with perhaps less moderation, if you will. And they're going to try and build some other revenue streams like subscriptions around it and keep advertisers happy. So, like I say, it's a really fine line to walk. And there's a lot of things like bots and dubious users on it. So I think that you're probably going to maybe see less cuts than what they're talking about to keep the platform safe for brands and just for users like us, basically.
All right. We shall see. Seth Schachner, Managing Director for Americas. Thanks so much for taking time to talk to us here at Newsy. And coming up, a sudden change of direction by Hispanic voters in Florida. We'll have a look at what issues are motivating them and which candidate is benefiting. And later, what Kanye West had to say when pressed for an apology for his recent remarks.
Hi, folks. This is important.